Welcome, Climate Viewers. This is Jim Lee from ClimateViewer News at ClimateViewer.com with your global weather control news update for February 2020. Bunch of stuff going on, constantly going on. I never get to cover it all, so we're going to try to get through this pretty quickly. And just want to remind everybody that everything you're about to see is free of charge, open source. I provide all the links. And I greatly appreciate monthly subscribers over on patreon.com/climateviewer or a one-time donation on PayPal or GoFundMe. Be greatly appreciated. So let's get straight into, we're going to do cloud seeding, a little bit of contrail controversy, and then some geoengineering news, followed up by terraforming the planet. What's that all about? All right, so let's get right over here to what's going on today. So if you guys don't know, cloud seeding generators, ground-based cloud seeding generators, operate in the United States from October through March of every year. And as you can see right here, here's the current Colorado cloud seeding status map, current as of February 20th, 2020. And as you can see down here in the bottom corner, it says green, seed, and then red, do not seed. Only one location on this map says do not seed. Right up here in this area is Denver, Colorado, and right down here is Colorado Springs. And as you can see, this is a very large area with numerous cloud seeding generators. And if you come over to ClimateViewer.org, you can see a similar map that I created where I tried to map out all of these cloud seeding generators. And you can see Denver and Colorado here. Clearly, I have many more dots to add to my map. All of these fire icons are the ground-based cloud seeding generators, and these mountain icons are reports from NOAA, the weather modification reports, and they basically talk about, where all these happen, when they happen. You can see November, December 2004, Upper Arkansas River program, how many grams of silver iodide were used, 450 there, over 8,000 square miles, and you can look at all the different reports. But when you zoom out, you see that cloud seeding is a big, industry that covers the entire West Coast. And when by West Coast, I literally mean that. The cloud seeding projects that are listed here are pretty dated, and they don't really occur on the East Coast at all. Why? Because we have plenty of freaking rainfall. So you're not going to see a whole lot of, cloud seeding weather modification projects on the East Coast. They're pretty much segregated to the West Coast. And as you can see, these ground-based cloud seeding generators are all along mountaintops, that sort of thing. You can literally click right here, go to base maps, and change it to satellite view, and then come back over here to Colorado and see in 3D where all these mountains are. And you can see that basically this is called snowpack augmentation. The idea is to create artificial snow to cover the mountains so that in the springtime it melts and feeds all the rivers, because the West is starved for water. So there you go. That's on ClimateViewer.org, soon to be on ClimateViewer.com, because I am combining all three of my websites into one. So how big is this industry? Well, if you look here, Cloud Seeding Equipment Market 2019, top industry players as Weather Modification Inc., North American Weather Consultants Inc., and the like. I was actually approached by this company. They make a market report on the weather modification industry, and who supplies the chemicals, who does the weather modification, what their stocks are going to look like, basically all the way up to 2024. And what you can see is right here, Market Research Insights, Global Cloud Seeding Equipment Market 2019 by company, regions, type, application, forecast to 2024. And it goes through cloud seeding equipment market overview, all the revenue comparisons by types, revenue market share by types, aerial cloud seeding, ground-based cloud seeding equipment, fog dissipation, snowfall and rainfall augmentation, hail suppression, other weather modifications, global cloud seeding equipment market by regions, and then they go into the companies down here, manufacturers profiles, Weather Modification Incorporated, North American Weather Consultants, down here, where's the next one? Kyathi Climate Modification Consultants LLP, and then Ice Crystal Engineering, cloud seeding equipment. They actually provide a lot of the pyrotechnic flares that are used on these. Metech SPA, that's a new one on me. I'm going to have to look them up. AF Jets SDN BHD, another one's new to me. Going to look it up. And then Snowy Hydro, which is out of Iowa. They provide a lot of the stuff for the dams out there to provide energy in addition to water, because they have a lot of hydroelectric dams. But regardless, I have a much lengthier list than this of companies. So, I mean, they probably could read my website and get into more detail. But regardless, this report, as you can see here, single user license, $3,480. Multi-user license, $5,220, and corporate user license, $6,960. So this is for your stock market, hedge hunters, all of that sort of thing. Apparently, there is now a market report on the entire weather modification industry. It's a new report. It's 117 pages long. It was published July 2019. The company actually contacted me. I told them, I said, hey, give me a free copy of it so I can, mention it on my YouTube. And, then maybe you'll get more sales of this thing, because for me, it's all about getting the information out there. And that would benefit you as well, because hell, there might be more people to buy your big report. So moving along, chemtrail contrail news. Science Daily, small altitude changes could cut climate impact of aircraft by 59%, February 12th, 2020. Now, this is something that I've been talking about since, probably 2014, about the climate impacts of aviation. And they're really not, they're not even talking about CO2. Altering altitudes of less than 2% of flights could reduce contrail-linked climate change by 59%, new study says. Aircraft contrails, the white streaks aircraft leaving the sky, could be as bad for climate as carbon dioxide emissions. They're actually much worse than CO2. And according to Olivier Boucher from the IPCC, up to 5,000 times worse than all of the CO2 emitted since the beginning of flight. So they've recognized now that this chemtrail, contrail, what they like to call contrail-induced cirrus clouds, or cirrus clouds made by planes, another term for it, aviation-induced cloudiness, that this is our serious problem, that the clouds are the problem. So now they've tried to come up with all manner of mechanisms to try to fix this problem so that the airline industry doesn't end up paying a bunch of carbon taxes and then therefore cannot fly, because as we all know, globalists love to freaking fly. And what else have they come up with? Well, to what extent can cirrus cloud seeding counteract global warming? January 30th, 2020. And you can see right here that they tried to model this, and this is Trude Story-Elmo. I actually mentioned her during, and Ulrich Lohmann, during my 2015 EPA hearing on this sort of thing, which I'll show you in just a second. But basically, they tried to model all this stuff out, and their computer models, quote, showed large uncertainties in both cloud and surface climate responses to cirrus cloud seeding, ranging from no effect or even a small warming to a globally averaged cooling of about 2.5 degrees Celsius. So heat trapping ability of cirrus clouds created by planes is so great that if they were able to melt them away at night, then the heat would be able to return to space. But during the day, they slightly cool. At night, they trap heat. Therefore, these clouds created by planes are one of the biggest climate change concerns and uncertainties out there, period. That's why the cirrus cloud seeding is the idea of spraying things like bismuth triiodide into those clouds to melt them away. They've even talked about using lasers to blast the ice crystals into smaller crystals to make them spread out so that they don't trap long wave radiation. But regardless, I said all of this in 2015. My speech to the EPA about flight pollution. You can see that on ClimateViewer.com, August 9th, 2015. And in that, you can see all the references I talk about right here. A single aircraft operating in conditions favorable for persistent contrail formation appears to exert a contrail-induced radiative forcing some 5,000 times greater than recent estimates of the average persistent contrail radiative forcing for the entire civil aviation fleet. Oh, even worse, contrails formed by aircraft could evolve into cirrus clouds indistinguishable from those formed naturally. These spreading contrails may be causing more climate warming today than all of the carbon dioxide emitted by aircraft since the start of aviation. Yes, I said this on C-SPAN at the EPA in 2015. And then I go on to talk about the use of biofuels and sulfur-doped jet fuels for contrail control and cirrus cloud seeding with bismuth triiodide to melt these clouds away. So this is something that's not new to me. It may be new to you. Bismuth triiodide, to the person in chat, probably tastes a lot like Pepto-Bismol because it's the same idea. Bismuth, figure it out. Thanks for the question, Ed. But yeah, it's gonna look for that raining down here shortly, and then you can see all of my references at the bottom here. And those two quotes come from Olivia Boucher, Atmospheric Science: Seeing Through the Contrails, Nature and Climate Change, 2011, and Jim Haywood, A Case Study of the Radiative Forcing of Persistent Contrails Evolving into Contrail-Induced Cirrus, and then Ulrich Lohmann right here. We won't get into all the sciencey stuff. As you can see right here in the picture, Smithsonian.com, airplane contrails may be creating accidental geoengineering. I think we're way past accidental at this point when we're talking about seeding cirrus clouds to melt them away, routing flights so that they only cool during the day, and then melting those clouds away at night so that they still, they cool the planet, but they don't heat the planet. This is really an ongoing experimentation. So that's the take home from that. Please check out my article, Accidental Geoengineering with Ship Tracks and Contrails. It is by far the lengthiest, most well-referenced paper I've done on this, where they talk about not only airplane contrails but ship tracks. We're about to kill a massive accidental experiment in reducing global warming, from MIT Technology Review, talking about ship tracks, which make the chemtrails and contrails you see over your hometown look tiny by comparison. All right, so moving along. All right. Up here, Harvard University, Harvard Kennedy School, Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs. Harvard professor David Keith discusses potential promises and pitfalls of solar geoengineering in new episode of Environmental Insights, February 7th, 2020. Pretty interesting read. I'd like to see it. They mentioned that David Keith, not only is he invested in carbon capture and storage with his company Carbon Engineering, which has, that's correct, bunker fuel is the root of all ship tracks. Bunker fuel is heavy fuel oil. I've been talking about that for a better part of 5-6 years. And the MIT article was directly about the proposed ban on bunker fuel. So there you go. Interesting thing I wanted to point out in this right here. This is straight from David Keith. This, he's talking about geoengineering. This is a thing where people have extremely strong opinions, and I don't think that solar geoengineering necessarily makes sense as a policy. I think it might as well make sense to ban it. Let that sink in for a moment. What I do think it deserves is that it deserves serious study, and we won't make better decisions about it by kind of maintaining a taboo where nobody talks or thinks about it, David Keith said. Now, I think that David Keith is trying to be sensible here, but I also think that he's framing the argument. He's, still talking about, let's go ahead with ScopeX. I think they even mentioned ScopeX in here. It was somewhere in here. But anyway, David Keith is doing the stratospheric controlled perturbation experiment. Hopefully this year is what he's planning on, where they intend to do an open air geoengineering experiment. So that's why he's getting a lot of airplay from all of the major publications. Which brings us to a pretty funny one right here. The mystery deterrent. Solar geoengineering doesn't exist. Can it make or break the world anyway? This is from gravityisgone.substack.com. This is fascinating. At one point in Doctor Strangelove, the titular character explains the Doomsday machine at the center of the movie's plot and eventually arrives at the main reason for its failure. No one knew about it. Interesting. The whole point of the Doomsday machine is lost if you keep it a secret. Why didn't you tell the world? That, of course, is the key to anything considered a deterrent. People have to be scared enough of the threat in order to do anything to try to avoid it. With nuclear weapons, this is simple enough. Any nuclear attack is terrifying and horrible, and clearly maintaining the current state of no nuclear holocaust is preferable. The status quo, such as it is better than the action in question. This goes straight to the argument that I've made from the get-go about geoengineering, that it really comes from a place of fear. 1 second while I bring this up. That the current push for geoengineering came from Lawrence Livermore National Lab. And as you can see, I have an article up here now. I just brought it up. Can Dr. Evil save the world? A geoengineering tale. Now, this is about the creation of the current geoengineering model, and that's a picture of Lowell Wood, a.k.a. Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil and his buddies Edward Teller and Roderick Hyde came up with a series of papers, which was then followed up by the Asilomar International Conference on Climate Intervention Technologies. This is the quote of the year. In other words, if the public comes to see geoengineering as, one attendee put it, a crazy idea cooked up by rich Anglo-Saxons to dominate the climate, then they will all be rightfully tarred and feathered. As for the U.S. Department of Defense, forget about it. To this group, such involvement prompts nightmares of a new military-industrial geoengineering complex. But that doesn't stop, Dr. Evil and company from writing their papers. And the first one from Edward Teller, Lowell Wood, Roderick Hyde, was Global Warming and Ice Ages: Prospects for Physics-Based Modulation of Global Change. This paper was prepared and submitted for submittal to the 22nd International Seminar on Planetary Emergencies. I didn't even know that we had seminars on planetary emergencies, but wow. So this was 1997. This is following the 1994 Mount Pinatubo eruption, where they saw that the globe cooled after this volcano, and they said, hey, that's really cool. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could make man-made volcanoes in the sky and inject sulfur into the stratosphere like volcanoes do, and that'll cool the planet. Edward Teller was the inventor of the hydrogen bomb. I want to underline this. What does this have to do with what we just talked about in Dr. Strangelove and the Doomsday Machine? That it's a deterrent, okay? The reason why it's a deterrent is because the same reason that Edward Teller came up with the hydrogen bomb. It was a weapon so great that it was the weapon to never be used. And then the same guy came up with the idea for geoengineering. Now, geoengineering as a term was coined by Cesare Marchetti back in, appreciate you for subscribing. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and I appreciate you. That back in 1977, Cesare Marchetti came up with the term geoengineering, but the major push for it came out of Lawrence Livermore National Lab. They wrote this paper in 1997, and then what do you know? Part 2, Long-Range Weather Prediction and Prevention of Climate Catastrophes, a status report. What did they do? They brought in Ken Caldera. Now, a lot of my subscribers know this name. If you have not heard of Ken Caldera, you have now. Ken Caldera and company were brought in to do computer models of these artificial volcanoes and give some legitimacy to this idea. And basically they said, hey, the world cooled down, everything was fine, and what the hell? Geoengineering, it's cool. So with that in their pocket, they moved right along, and they wrote their third paper, minus all of the other lackeys, and they wrote Active Climate Stabilization, Practical Physics-Based Approaches to the Prevention of Climate Change, Edward Teller, Roderick Hyde, and Lowell Wood. Now, I'm going to reiterate this. Edward Teller invented the hydrogen bomb. He is behind, and Lowell Wood, a.k.a. Dr. Evil, basically came up with the idea for the current push for geoengineering. Now, this is kind of creepy, but let me see right down here. I think it's a lengthy article, but there is a quote of the century right here from Lowell Wood. Human beings are like cockroaches, Wood said in his typical black humor. It's fairly easy to kill the first 10% of the population. And if you try really hard, you might even get the next 10%. But no matter what you do, you'll never get the last 10%. We will find a way to survive. He's not called Dr. Evil for no reason, okay? And this is Dr. Strangelove's doomsday device. This is a deterrent weapon, geoengineering. It is a way of saying, if we don't stop polluting the planet, if you don't believe the global warming scare, if you don't do everything we tell you, we're going to geoengineer the whole planet. That's going to affect rainfall patterns worldwide. David Keith, by his own admission, says this is going to kill people. Don't believe me? Let's roll that beautiful bean footage. Why don't we? Let me bring that up real quick, because this is an oldie but goldie, and I love to play it for people. So let's just all react to this.
This is a really important moral point. So if I made a decision, or if there was a collective decision to do a geoengineering program, and you put, say, the kind of program I think makes more sense to put about 1 million tons a year in, but let's say, you might end up killing many tens of thousands of people a year as a direct result of that decision. I think that has moral consequences. I don't sweep it under the rug. So this is a case where I take this much differently from Alan and think it's a much more serious issue. Now, it's true that as part of doing that, you would hope that the overall benefits of human mortality would be so that you would save many, many more people than that. But the fact that you would save more people than you killed doesn't mean there's no moral impact of making...
As he laughs, there's no moral impact. So... just to reiterate, Dr. Strangelove's Doomsday machine came from Lawrence Livermore National Lab from a guy named Dr. Evil and Edward Teller, the inventor of the hydrogen bomb, the weapon that was never to be used. Found that mildly amusing, if not fascinating, partially scary as hell. And that brings us to our last article of news, as we can see here. Climate change. DeGrasse Tyson's genius plan to turn Earth back as New York under threat. Neil deGrasse Tyson made a brilliant suggestion over how Earth can tackle climate change after his home, New York, comes under potential threat from rising sea levels. This one's a little old. I've had it on my to-do list for quite some time, but I figure there's no time like now. Now, generally speaking, I like Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think that he explains things well. He's got a great personality. But boy, you can't just screw with this topic without me throwing some poo your way, Mr. NDT. You have the power of geoengineering to turn Earth back into Earth. Short quote. Oh my God, here we go. Time to roast into some Neil deGrasse Tyson ass. God, the things people say. So, this is his exact quote. I'm going to zoom this in so everybody at home can see it very well. So, there is a chance we could terraform Mars to turn something that is not like Earth into something like Earth. Now, many of you probably saw Total Recall about that topic, or the movie Aliens, where they had big terraforming machines. So, this wasn't lost on me, as you'll see in just one moment. Here's the catch, quote, if you have the power of geoengineering to turn Mars into Earth, then you can have the power of geoengineering to turn Earth back into Earth. Wait a minute. Where have I heard this before? Where have I heard the idea that geoengineering is terraforming planet Earth? Oh, wait. I said that. In fact, I said that to Ken Caldera. Here's Mick West and company. This is Ken Caldera, K Caldera. You can see him right there. Let me get rid of this sidebar, get it out of the way. But this is Ken Caldera's geoengineering group. And what's that logo right there? Terraforming Incorporated. Oh, wait, that was one of my websites along the way. I used to be on resonated.net, resonated.com. Then I came up with Terraforming Incorporated. I even had one, my timeline was on theweathereffect.com, and I finally settled on climateviewer.com. But wow, this is just a straight slap in the face from these guys because, I had posed the question to them. I was like, you're basically talking about terraforming the planet. They were all like, oh, that's just preposterous. And, years after that, I started seeing article after article after article specifically referring to terraforming the planet. And as you can see right here, my NMOD AA, for those who aren't familiar with it, the Environmental Modification Accountability Act that I've been pushing, I used to call it the Clarity Clause. This is dated 2013. That's how long I've been talking about my solution. And I put it straight to the geoengineers. But regardless, my website was called Terraforming Incorporated. If you do a search on Ken Caldera's forum for terraforming, you'll see that it is quite the topic now. There's a whole lot of terraforming stuff on here. And let me see, where's it at? The new plan for terraforming starts now. Terraforming Earth, geoengineering mega plan starts now. October 9th, 2013. This is like literally like 3 months after I had posted the on their forum saying, hey, this is terraforming. And I got a website called Terraforming Incorporated. Don't believe me? Look, here it is. This is Terraforming Incorporated on Wayback Machine. This is April 2013. That article was written October 2013. And this was the original Google Climate 3D on Google Earth before they shut me down and I had to learn to program it all from scratch with open source software. But regardless, there's Lowell Wood. This was my original weather modification timeline. Boy, I've gone through a lot of iterations of this, and that was my original logo. I had the Chernobyl Fukushima stuff up here. The guy shooting his laser beams at the sun, making clouds, chemtrails in the background there, and it was called Terraforming Incorporated. And see how many people can name this guy right here in the center. Just looking at chat. How many people can name that guy? Anyway, so Terraforming Incorporated, the end of nature. That was the whole ideology behind this. So that brings us to the end of this video and why I haven't been making so many videos, because once again, I'm at it. I have a timeline, I have maps, I have articles. Right now, they're on 3 separate websites, ClimateViewer.com, ClimateViewer.org, and WeatherModificationHistory.com. So, as you can see in the ticker below me. But that's changing right now. The Toxic Avenger, we have a winner. Toxic Avenger, Marsupial Mole, you are the winner for knowing your meme history, I guess. But yeah, I had the Toxic Avenger in the bottom corner of my Climate Viewer 3D map for quite a while. Then I replaced that with the Dr. Evil little logo, and I've gone through several logos having fun with this stuff because I'm a graphics artist and I love changing things. But regardless, we're now at the point where it's time to combine, like Voltron, all 3 of my websites into one. So how am I going to do that? It's been a pain. And that's why I'm going to go ahead, before I show you this, to remind you all that while I'm not making videos, please continue to support me through Patreon or a one-time donation through PayPal or GoFundMe, because I am currently working my tail off to bring you the next greatest version of the most simple version, something you can share with everybody all in one place. This is the way ClimateViewer.com looks right now, okay? If you go there and you see geoengineering news, and then there's a whole lot of it, okay? Lots and lots of news. And then you see my YouTube channel, and then there's pollution and, propaganda and fake news, privacy issues. I want to focus like a laser on the topic of weather control. Because over the years, yes, I'm fascinated by microwaves and people spying and all of that stuff, directed energy weapons and all of that stuff. And as you can see, the active state denial technology, freaking microwaves to your brain hole. Anyway, so the website so far has been about geoengineering, pollution, privacy, and propaganda. But I want to really focus, hyper focus on weather control. So I want to give you guys a sneak preview of what's coming up. Let me get rid of this. Welcome to the new ClimateViewer.com. And as you can see, the menu bar has drastically changed. And it is home, geoengineering, weather control, and space weather control. Now, of course, the other stuff is tucked under more right here. So you still have your pollution, privacy, and propaganda stuff, interviews, and about me. But over here we have maps, the timeline, and our Discord chat. So first off, I'd like to point out that I've already integrated weathermodificationhistory.com into this new website. Here's what it looks like. So now you're on ClimateViewerNews.com, and we've got the weather modification history timeline, which has been beautified, I must say. And again, same topics: geoengineering, weather control, space weather control. Come down here, click geoengineering, click weather modification, click space weather modification. Oh, that's HARP and people using microwaves and laser beams and stuff like that. The thunderstorm solar powered satellite, so that you can sort through just the stuff. Is ELF able to modify the weather? All of this is about space weather control. And as Lyndon Johnson put it best, that control of space means control of the world. From space, the masters of infinity would have the power to control Earth's weather, to cause drought and flood, to change the tides and raise the levels of the sea. You mean like global warming? To divert the Gulf Stream and change temperate climates to frigid. You mean like the time that they said that they were going to, melt the poles for 100 years and then they did it? Anyway, this is a much improved version of what's currently online. If I go to the current version of the exact same thing, you'll see what I mean. So if I go to the timeline, and then I go to, let's say, go to space weather, and then I scroll down here and go to the Lyndon Johnson page. Just so you can see, of course, the video has been deleted. That's number one. And my references are basically just text links, okay? So they really don't tell you a whole lot. And you can't tell where did this come from and which reference is it down here. So I wanted to really make that easy for everybody. So check this crap out. Oh, this is beautiful. It lays the predicate and foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather. And he who controls the weather controls the world. Click here, number one. Oh, it highlights the references. It takes you down to it. Oh, man, I'm coding my butt off over here. It's so damn beautiful. Oh, my God. I'm just like in love with myself right now. I want to give myself a big freaking hug. Oh, wait, you can even click the link right here, and it'll take you back up and highlight where the reference came from. Damn, that's cool. Number three, bam, down here. Light it up, light it up. I want to be able to make this very easy to go through. Operation Popeye was green lighted by him. Come down here. Where did this quote come from? It came from right here in the Pentagon Papers. You can actually go and click this. No longer have links. Right click it, go to page, see page. And as you can see, this is where they actually say continue as at present plus Operation Popeye, where the actual thing came from. Reason I'm doing this is because they have this thing called link rot. Now, because I've been writing articles since 2012, some of the articles that I have are very old. And what happens is when a website gets deleted from the internet and then a bunch of Chinese hackers buy that URL and then they put malware on that link, then suddenly Google sees my website as full of malware, and that is a bad thing. So what I'm now doing is, in most cases, giving you the archive.org link so that you can see the original for stuff that's been deleted, because I'm going through right now 32,000 plus reference links on climateviewer.com, weathermodificationhistory.com, and climateviewer.org. And I'm checking every single one of them, putting them in MLA format for you with a link to the original. It's just a text link, so you can copy paste it into your browser or just right click it and hit go to. But that way I don't have to deal with this in the future. I don't have any more link rot to worry about. And by the way, that deleted video, I literally wrote my own video player and embedded it in there.
It lays the predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the world.
Boom. So that's the kind of thing I'm doing here with this, and I have like related articles so that you can also see President John F. Kennedy doing the exact same thing. Oh wait, I got a video of that too.
We shall propose further cooperative efforts between all the nations in weather prediction and eventually in weather control.
So I want to be able to make sure that everybody can find this stuff and where it came from. So there's the JFK address to the UN General Assembly, and it's at the jfklibrary.org. So you can actually go and check that out yourself and see that, you know, when you're talking to a senator or somebody, they're going to look, you know, at this and go, damn, this is not made up. This is 100% accurate. Look at the amount of, you know, work that's gone into this, especially when you go to my Operation Popeye one, weather warfare over Vietnam. This has been revised as well, and oh my God, do I have some good stuff in here. And I've got it all laid out for you, the goals, patches, you know, from the actual missions, all the inside info scoop, all the related U.S. Congress hearings to it, and then everything that happened as a result of it, the Weather Modification Reporting Act of 1972, the National Weather Modification Policy Act, or Public Law 92-205, the Environmental Modification Convention Weather Warfare Ban, which my NMOD AA is based off of, and finally, Weather Modification Programs, Problems, Policy, and Potential, the full disclosure document. So it was 700 pages that was required by the National Weather Modification Policy Act of 1976. Not the bullshit stories that you hear from the conspiracy theorists on YouTube about how this document proves chemtrails. The real history, because those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it, and we are repeating all of this today. So I hope that you guys will check, you know, be patient with me, because this kind of work, turning, and I'll give you an example, turning this is what that article looks like, okay? It's right up here, Operation Popeye. This is what all goes into writing an article, just that one page. Here's all the images. Okay, let me get my face out of the way and pull this over. Here's all the images. Here's all the related posts. Here's all of the references. Then there's the article itself that I wrote with all the reference links and the coding that I had to put into that. This is just the one article. Just the Operation Popeye article you just saw. Along with functions to do all of the cool stuff like the reference links I just wrote. You know, if you click on a reference link, add a class highlight to highlight it, and then if somebody clicks the return link, check and make sure there is a return link, and then scroll up there, smooth scroll and all that. Oh, I love coding. It is so fun. But regardless, to give you guys just an example, as you can see here, this is just the timeline section over here on the side, starting at 1841 with the Storm King. Going all the way through the timeline. There's 151 of these, and I have to literally go through every single link on just those. And then I have my posts, which start in 2013, and there are this many. Shoot me in the face. I am still scrolling. There's the end, all the way up to here. So I got a lot of work to go through all of this stuff, but know damn well that it's going to happen. You know, like this is Mick West and Jim Lee debate, chemtrails, geoengineering, and semantics. And then I've got the related articles and all that stuff. But my older stuff, all the way up here, geoengineering programs and weather modification experiments, I didn't have the related articles or the reference links or anything like that. They're all in here. So I literally have to go through all of these damn links, like every single one of these links. Look how long this article is. This is just one article, okay? I'm going to have to go through every single one of these pages. Holy crap. Where am I even at? I'm here. And it just goes on and on. These are all companies from around the world that are doing weather modification. And I'm going to have to go through and check every single one of these links. This is just one damn article. Shoot me in the face. No, actually, please donate, because that would be much, much less painful, and my wife would appreciate it. So I'm going to continue to dig through this, wade through this endless abyss of mess I've made over the last 10 years and clean it up. And this is what the final product's going to look like right here. Let me get that out of the way. So we no longer have the, wide-ranging topics. We're really going to hyper-focus on them. And I've already completed the weather control page. So old website, everything was on geoengineering, okay? So it was geoengineering and weather modification exposed. And you could scroll down through here, and I had a FAQ, and the FAQ had everything in it. And then I had a page on sky heaters, which is the space weather modification, and the chemtrails page, which is basically artificial clouds. And that is basically on all three topics, because guess what? Geoengineering, artificial clouds. Weather modification, artificial clouds. Space weather modification, artificial ion clouds. Clouds made of trimethyl aluminum, barium, strontium, cesium-137 from sounding rockets. Artificial clouds, all three topics. But basically, I've broken it down into these three main topics for a reason. And I've even changed the design and layout of each of the pages, as you can see here. This is what they're going to look like. Big, beautiful picture with some of the technology behind each one. We got a cloud seeding flare tree here, pyrotechnic flares on the back of a plane here, cloud ionizing antennas here, terminology. So we're going to start out with definitions so everybody understands. Even if you're a novice to this topic, you'll be able to go to any one of these three pages and become an expert in about an hour at the very most. If you're a speed reader like myself, in about 10 minutes. Cloud condensation nuclei, ice nucleating particles, what's an aerosol, what's ionization, static electricity, atmospheric rivers, techniques, cloud seeding. What does cloud seeding do? What's the history of it? All the terminology, examples of decreasing precipitation, keeping it from raining places, cloud ionization companies, with things like the waste isolation pilot plant talking about using cloud ionization palm tree antennas to protect facility from lightning strikes, saying the technology traces back to 1913. In Tesla's application included some sketches. One of the sketches looked vaguely like a palm tree. And the U.S. Department of Agriculture spraying electrified tap water over Texas in an attempt to make it rain. Cloud ionization using electric weather modification. Even more electric, steering atmospheric rivers with Miles Research, formerly Acquiesce, Climate Control Global Trading LLC, and China's Tianyi Sky River Project. Anything you see in blue now will only be a link to another article on ClimateViewer.com. Any external links will be text links at the bottom, as you can see here. Click down to the bottom. WIP protects infrastructure with metal palm trees. Just like I said, go over here and you can check it out yourself and see the original photo. Why is the photo not showing up? What are they screwing with me? There was a photo of it here. Anyway, I have the photo saved. Oh, they want to be funny, huh? You want to be a funny guy, huh? Not on my live broadcast, damn it. So I'm going to go to archive.org with my cool archive.org button that I created. No. The nefariousness of this. Anyway, I have the photo saved. I'll put it on the page. Anyway, so all of the weather modification project reports from the government are on here. The history of weather warfare, some of the stuff I already covered in this video. U.S. government weather modification project reports and UN Meteorological Organization reported weather modification activities worldwide, and the conferences. The one that I attended, the 21st Conference on Planet Inadvertent Weather Modifications in 2018, which you can see the video interviews from, where I interviewed all of the scientists there who modify the weather, including the U.S. Naval Research Lab. Don't talk about HAARP. Boy, that's a great video if you haven't seen it. So, needless to say, I'm working on all of this. The geoengineering page now looks much sexier right here. Oh, look at that. Stop geoengineering, hands off Mother Earth. Our home is not a laboratory. And I've reworked my image right there. And you can see that that's pretty much still the same one from back in the day. Just reworked it a little bit, made it more modern. Love messing with my graphics. But this is from Jim Fleming's paper about the climate engineers, this part right here, and I cut out everything and had fun with it. But regardless, it's now titled Geoengineering, Climate Engineering, and Climate Intervention Exposed, and it will be specifically about geoengineering, not about all of the above. Same with space weather control, space weather modification, HAARP and the sky heaters, ionospheric heaters, sounding rockets, solar-powered satellites, and chemical trails from space. Learn about the technology and history of space weather modification. So this is why you guys haven't been seeing me as much lately. Like I said, I've already integrated the timeline on here. So you can go through and see all of the timeline stuff from weathermodificationhistory.com. It's pretty lengthy. It's very well referenced. And it talks all the way back to atomizing the Arctic, melting the Arctic, the Storm King who started all this off, and the newspaper vault, all of the images created by Dominic Marama, my homeboy, my brother from another mother up in Canada. I don't know how anybody lives in Canada. I could not be that cold. I live in South Carolina, and I love it here. But anyway, newspaper articles dating back to, this is a patent from 1880, and then going all the way on through. So you can check that out. Tesla's great invention to blow up hostile warships by electric waves. The list just goes on and on. With the Rainmaker, scientific warfare against clouds, 1906. Tesla's tidal wave to make war impossible. The list just goes on and on. How to control weather, electric shocks for clouds, 1912. So all of this is going to be all in one website, in addition to all of the maps from ClimateViewer.org will be right here. Haven't even tried to put that in yet because I've got so many articles to go through. So went kind of long there at the end. Holy crap, how long has this thing been going? I went 30 freaking minutes practically talking about the new website. Oh my God, I do apologize for ranting, but it's a lot of work. And it's a lot of work to be done, and I've still got a long way to go. Do I have any contact with James Corbett? No, but I did mention him in one of my presentations. I would love to do an interview with him or Joe Rogan or any of those guys, but you know what? I just feel like they don't really want the truth out there. Because if they were looking for the truth about weather control, I'm the expert, period. Point blank. End of story. The only expert that I would put above myself is James Roger Fleming, who wrote Fixing the Sky, The Checkered History of Weather Control, Weather and Climate Control, Weather Modification, Climate Control. And, I've learned a lot from him. And as far as YouTube goes, I'm it. So if they ever want to contact me, I'll be right here. My phone number's on my website, and I'm glad to do an interview at any time. Currently working on a film documentary as well. Can't talk about that. Non-disclosure agreement. Damn it. So while working on this website, while working on a film, I'm going to try to continue to make videos in this format where I just basically sum up all of the news that's been sent to me that I've gathered through my various sources and try to get them out more often and shorter videos. But I wanted you guys to know why, show you, a sneak preview of what's to come. And I think that this is really going to make it a lot simpler for people, that I don't have 3 damn websites, that I have one website that covers all of the topics, that is in a very simple format that breaks it into 3 categories, and each category is explained with terminology, technology, and everything you could want to know about that topic on one page. And then you can get into the maps, and then you can get into the timeline entries, and then you can understand the big picture, because that's what I'm trying to bring to people, is the end of all this secrecy. And my ultimate goal, of course, being the Environmental Modification Accountability Act, to bring transparency and verification to all of this. So I hope to have that in the future, so that people understand the 10 technologies being used to control the weather today, from the ground all the way to space, from intentional to what they call accidental. I want it all out there, because there's 27 reasons why geoengineering is a bad idea, and everybody should know that it is the weapon not to be used. It is the Doomsday weapon from Dr. Strangelove. I don't want to see a doomsday machine creating sunburn and blocking out stars and making whiter skies, and all of this stuff here, droughts and ozone depletion and the oceans turning to acid and killing everybody. I mean, by his own admission, killing many tens of thousands of people, probably going to be way more than that. So once again, I'd like to ask you all, guys, please support my work. I'm going to be working my tail off on getting this website together. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Also, in the details of this video is my other channel. When this new website is complete, I will be transferring to that channel with a new format, new videos, completely from scratch, starting from scratch over there. I probably will mirror those videos to this channel for some time, just so that people understand that you need to get your butt onto the new channel, because it is youtube.com/user/ClimateViewer. Too many people searching for Jim Lee end up with the comic artist, and that is a problem. And I have a YouTube channel that is a brand account for ClimateViewer, which I intend to be using in the near future. So with that being said, boy, I just ran my mouth for a long time, and I appreciate you all sticking in for this whole hour. Please share this video. Sharing is caring, and knowing is half the battle. But once you know, you have the information, and the information is more powerful than guns. So please take this information, use it responsibly, because with information comes power, and with power comes great responsibility. So use this information to attack ideas, not people. Love you, climate viewers. See you next time. If this video resonates with you, leave me a comment, because I love hearing from y'all. First time here, be sure to subscribe and click the bell. The bell doesn't always work, so come to ClimateViewer.com and sign up for our newsletter. Remember, it would be impossible for me to do this without your support, so please join my Patreon or buy me a coffee on PayPal. And always, attack ideas, not people.
Kids are impressionable. That's why here at this station, we watch the programs and commercials your child watches carefully. He may see bad guys, but not in the role of heroes. And he'll learn that crime doesn't pay. Because your child's welfare is our concern, too. That's part of our code.
Better than anything you can get without a prescription. Anything. It's the best.